So the state of California just introduced a bill which will increase gun and ammunition taxes within the state. So let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump into this video, I want to mention that I currently have a goal of reaching 300,000 subscribers before my 3-year anniversary here on YouTube. That's going to be in early July. So we're rapidly approaching that. It would be awesome if I could reach that 300,000 mark. So if you're not currently subscribed, please consider subscribing. That really would help me reach that goal. But regardless, thank you guys so much for all of your support over these last 3 years. Also, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, which is Sonoran Desert Institute. SDI is an accredited online college that helps students learn the skills and techniques they'll need to be successful in the firearms industry. So if you enjoy gun repair, ballistics, and learning about firearms, SDI might be a good option for you. To find out more about SDI, you can visit the website linked down below. And thank you again, SDI, for sponsoring this video. So like I said in the intro, California is once again trying to introduce a tax on all firearm and ammunition sales within the state. The state is now trying to do that through a bill, which is AB 1227. The strange thing about this bill is that it originally started not as anything focused on guns at all. It didn't focus on firearms or ammunition or taxes on them at all. It started as a bill which dealt with solar roofing here in the state of California. But in classic California fashion, AB 1227 has been completely changed and now focuses on an attack on our rights to keep and bear arms within the state of California by taxing ammunition and firearms sales. This bill, if passed, would require an excise tax of 10% to be imposed on all sales of handguns within the state, and also would apply an excise tax of 11% on all sales of long guns, rifles, and firearms precursor parts, as well as ammunition. AB 1227, also known as the Firearms and Ammunition Excise Tax, is introduced by Assembly Member Levine. If that name rings a bell to you, that's because Levine is one of those individuals who frequently introduces these types of gun control bills in the state of California. And he's also responsible for another bill which sought to do the same thing as this one. You might recall that last year I put out a couple of videos discussing another bill, which was AB 1223, which sought to tax ammunition and firearms sales. That sounds eerily similar to what this one does here that we're discussing in this video. Well, that's because they are. These are very similar bills, almost identical. AB 1223, which was the prior attempt by Levine, ended up dying on the third reading in the state legislature here in California and died earlier this year in February. In that bill, Levine and his co-sponsors was trying to do the same thing he is doing here in this bill. Both of these seek to impose 10% taxes on handgun sales and 11% tax on all other firearms and ammunition sales. After his first attempt failed, I guess Levine got the bright idea just to copy that bill and then just to paste it over his solar roofing bill. In doing this, Levine is once again trying to bring life to an attempt to increase taxes on guns and ammunition within the state of California. So what does the current iteration of this bill state? Well, it states commencing July 1st of 2023, an excise tax is hereby imposed upon licensed firearms dealers, ammunition vendors, and firearms precursor part vendors at a rate of 10% of the sales price of a handgun and 11% of the sales price of a long gun, rifle, firearms precursor part, and ammunition sold in the state to mirror the Pittman-Robertson Act federal excise tax rate. The federal law that's referenced there that California is mirroring is the Federal Aid and Wildlife Restoration Act, also known as the Pittman-Robertson Act. The Pittman-Robertson Act became law back in 1937. The revenue generated from the excise tax under that federal law is apportioned to state wildlife agencies for conservation efforts, hunters education, and shooting projects and programs. Since that federal program's inception, $12.5 billion have been collected from manufacturers. This federal tax has the same rates that California is using, and this federal bill that they're mirroring is currently administered by the Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau in the Department of Treasury, which sends all of those funds to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. So California is just copying that federal tax scheme and is just applying it in an additional tax at a state level. The taxes that the state of California collects from the sales of handguns, firearms, and ammunition will go to the state's Gun Violence Prevention, Healing, and Recovery Fund. This fund will then send that money to fund gun violence prevention programs, gun violence prevention education, and gun violence prevention research. Therefore, under this bill, the state of California will be taxing our right to keep and bear arms, and then they will take all of that money and throw it into programs, organizations, and various research programs that are further attacks on our right to keep and bear arms within the state of California. Also in this bill, Levine cites to bad comments made by various Second Amendment organizations. The bill states that the NRA has referred to the Pittman-Robertson Federal Firearms and Ammunition Excise Tax as a legislative model and friend of the hunter, and the NSSF has repeatedly emphasized the importance of this federal excise tax as well. Now, I have my own issues with the NRA and sometimes the NSSF and others that make compromising comments just like this. Any tax on our Second Amendment rights should not be praised by anyone, but unfortunately, these comments by these organizations are now being used as support for this California bill and further taxes on ammunition and firearms. Now, I know some will say that this is not a tax on gun owners in the state of California, that this tax will only be impacting gun stores and gun manufacturers who have to pay it on all sales. To that I say, the excise tax still has a trickle-down effect on gun owners in the state of California. Gun stores are already paying that federal excise tax, and now they're going to have to pay this state level one as well. That inevitably cuts into the profit margin of these stores, and they're going to have to increase their costs on those sales by 10 or 11% to actually mitigate this tax. And all of that increase in cost is then placed on the consumer. So although the consumer is not directly paying that tax, they are going to have to pay for the increase in cost, which is then going to cover that tax that the gun store or gun manufacturer is paying to the state. Firearms and ammunition are already insanely priced here in the state of California, and all this bill does is increase that cost in the state. This also will have the impact of pricing some people out of exercising their rights to keep and bear arms within the state because they simply can't pay all these insane prices. That is really the ultimate goal of this bill. They want to make gun ownership so costly and so hard within the state of California to the point where some decide that it's not even worth it. They just don't want to engage in this activity. The last thing I want to point out is that this bill also includes a classic law enforcement exemption. The bill states that any sale of a firearm, ammunition, or precursor part to law enforcement or any law enforcement agency is not required to have that excise tax. Instead, only sales to the average citizens in the state of California will be taxed and have to pay this excise tax. So like other gun control measures within the state of California, this bill carves out a special class for law enforcement, which again is nothing new. They do this every single time they introduce these types of gun control bills. This bill started as a solar roofing bill and has now been completely changed to a bill which seeks to tax a constitutional right. Hopefully this bill version dies in the legislature just like the prior iteration did, but we must once again do our part to stop these types of violations. So if you're in California, please contact your representatives and let them know you oppose this bill, just like you opposed AB 1223. This new iteration is AB 1227, so tell them you oppose AB 1227. Let them know you do not appreciate Levine trying to copy and paste a bill that already failed and died, and that this bill, this iteration of this ammo tax and firearms tax needs to die in the state legislature as well because it is a clear violation of our Second Amendment rights. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Also, if you like this video and like support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm or fuel Algor's rhythm. It adds fuel to his jet and it signals to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos and in this type of two-way news. Again, I want to thank everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, who hits the notification bell, and who shares these videos. You guys are directly impacting these videos, impacting this channel, and helping me to reach and educate more people than I can ever do on my own. Also, I want to thank the couple people who gave me the super thanks on the last video. Super thanks is just a new mechanism on YouTube for people to directly donate to the channel to help support the channel. So if you're interested, you can find that down in the little bar next to the like button. It's a heart and it says thanks. If you want to donate to the channel, that's a great way you can do that, and that actually goes directly to the channel. So again, you don't have to, but for those of you who actually have already done that, I just wanted to say thank you. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and never forget to stay with Built Bar Arms Scholars and stay with Maintained Bar Arms Scholars.